What's up guys, it's Cam coming at you from the 2.6. Welcome back to CFR. A little while back in my top 10 summer fragrances, or my top 10 designer summer fragrances, I actually had a little bit of a dilemma whether I was going to pick Chrome Aqua or Chrome Extreme from Azzaro. I'm going to go ahead and put these two fragrances head to head today and see which ones fare the best. To get things started, I have been a fan of the Chrome line for quite a while. I actually wore the original Chrome back in the mid to late 90s, and then I started, diving into other things, and it was actually kind of a relationship that I had, like a love-hate relationship. There was something about it that I liked, and now as I've, smelled a lot of other fragrances, I think it was the metallicness of the original that I wasn't all that crazy about. But they have had a few other releases that were really good, but none as good as the 2019 release Chrome Aqua and the 2020 release Chrome Extreme. To get things started, let's go ahead and go over the Aqua. So of course, anytime that you see Aqua attached to a name, it usually means it's going to be a fresher version. It's going to usually have marine notes or, different citruses, things like that, that's going to make it a really fresh and inviting and softer version of the original, which this definitely is actually a much better version in my personal opinion. So let's take, for example, Tom Ford Neroli Portofino. I actually like the Neroli Portofino Aqua better. I guess this kind of lines up the same way, even though the scent profiles are nothing alike. I was just using that as an example. Now this opens very fresh, very clean, very crisp, because it has a really nice green apple note mixed with a really juicy grapefruit note. So on the opening, it's going to open very, very citrusy and green and juicy and crisp, and just a slight little bit of tartness from that green apple, which I find absolutely delectable. In the mid, you're going to pick up some basil and some marine notes that are really playing very nicely together. I'm not generally like a big fan of basil. It does work in certain fragrances. In this particular instance, this use of basil in this fragrance is probably the best I've smelled in any fragrance that I'm aware of anyway. The marine notes are not overwhelming, just like, sloshy, wet, like some marine fragrances just actually kind of get lost in translation. They use it to enhance this fragrance, and you're still picking up some of those top notes with the grapefruit and the green apple mixed with that basil and marine notes, which gives it a really nice aquatic, fruity, and slightly salty mid. And then as it dries down, you're going to pick up some vetiver mixed really nice with some woody notes. And the vetiver that's used in this is going to lean more of a slightly earthy vetiver. I won't say like a super dark vetiver, but it's going to be a darker vetiver than like a light or crisp vetiver that you will get in a lot of top notes. Being that they put vetiver as one of the base notes with the woody notes, it would make sense that they would use a more earthy vetiver in this, which gives this an absolute stunner of a dry down. Now, as far as the description of this fragrance, that pretty much covers it. It's going to be a fresh, crisp, clean, very inviting, very happy, cheery summer fragrance with a very decent dry down. The performance on this is not like stellar, but it's not a slouch either. So that's why I decided to put the Extreme against this. Now, scent-wise, that's what I'm putting the verses at, because I think that they both are very solid releases. I just happen to enjoy this one more in the summertime. But let me go ahead and show you the high points of the Extreme since I haven't went over it yet. So they went with a common theme of this fragrance as far as having it citrus and green on the top notes. But what you're going to get is a green mandarin on this. So as I said before, on the Aqua, it had the grapefruit and it also had the green apple. So they primarily concentrate on the green mandarin on the opening of this. So on the opening of this, it's going to be green. It's going to be fresh. So outside of this being a fresh, green, and aquatic, marine-ish type fragrance, you're going to be picking up hints of juniper and cashmerean. As you know, cashmerean is a really popular note being used in fresh fragrances right now, which kind of gives it that warm and fuzzy feeling that we've come accustomed to in these more modern freshies. So one thing I can say about the opening of this fragrance versus the opening on this fragrance, this one is going to be a little bit warmer, but it's still going to be green, but this is going to be really juicy and bright and green. You're going to see some instant differences as far as the projection. Like as soon as you smell it, this is going to come off much stronger on the opening. So actually my favorite note in this is the mandarin. It really pops, it really shines even into the dry down. Even though it is listed as a top note, as this dries down, you can tell that it was blended really nice, and you're still getting a little bit of that green mandarin as it dries down. Now with the sea notes or aquatic notes that you have in this, mixed with that mandarin as it dries down, it's going to be really smooth. So like on the top where that cashmerean is kind of fuzzy, it dissipates in about 10-15 minutes, maybe a little bit less, but you can feel it starting to dissipate and actually start to dry down as a very well blended melody of all these notes. So on the full dry down, you still will be picking up hints of that mandarin, a little bit of that juniper. The juniper kind of fades back. You're going to catch the juniper and cashmere more in the opening, where the mandarin is still sticking around in the base notes as it dries down, and you'll be picking up more or less like a salty marine mandarin musk, if that makes sense. Now as far as performance goes on this, I was actually rather impressed. I got a solid 8 hours of performance on this. Now, I don't mind wearing this in the summertime. I think it's more geared for a warmer type environment, but you could actually get away with wearing this fragrance year round, where you could also do the same thing with the Aqua, but this leans much more towards the summer months. This one would be just a little bit more versatile as far as like a year-round fragrance, a signature scent. Not saying that this one couldn't, because as far as my personal taste, I like the Aqua much better for the warmer months. As far as this being more versatile, being like a year-round fragrance, a signature scent, this one could be worn as a signature scent too, but this one is more of a warm weather fragrance. So the final verdict, which one do you guys like better? Do you like the new 2020 release, Chrome Extreme, or do you prefer the Chrome Aqua? I think they both are stellar fragrances. A lot of times, you know, like let's take for example like light blue. You know, we had light blue sun. They've had a bunch of flankers. Some of them been okay, some of them been not so much. Where this has been a solid release for 2019, and then it follows up with another solid release for 2020. So as far as the Chrome line, Azzaro had another strong release that a lot of people liked, was Chrome Legend. So as far as you Legend fans, I agree that is a great fragrance, but as far as the past 2 years with Aqua and Extreme, I feel that they have really knocked both of these out of the park. Let me know down in the comments if you've tried either one of these. If you have, which one do you prefer? Let me know which one wins in this versus match down in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you on Carolina Fragrance Reviews.